Hey there, thank you so much for tuning in again. A number of people, including some family members I know, have had horrible experiences with the issue of squatters on their lands. And so in this episode, I just wanted to take advantage of Andrew Mura's presence here as a legal expert, High Court advocate, and get his take on what the law says about how to deal with squatters, what are their rights, what are yours as a landowner, and so forth. You're watching On Land in Kenya, Law of the Land segment. I am Solomon Wangwe. Mr. Mura.
Yes.
Squatters, what's the deal? Common issue, especially in areas where you have absentee land ownership, like the places we like to invest.
Yep.
They're great to own from an asset-based perspective, capital gains in a passive way, but we don't live there. We don't use the land actively. In the meantime, some random individual shows up, builds a home, whether it's a temporary home or a permanent one, fences, and maybe it's been a number of years since I went to inspect my property and I find a guy settled there and they refuse to leave. What's my recourse as a landowner? Because technically they are what is known as a squatter. What does the law define a squatter as, and how do you deal with them?
Okay. Without the benefit of right now looking at the dictionary meaning of a squatter, I believe a squatter, you qualify to be a squatter after a certain number of years. Otherwise, you're just an intruder.
Right. Was it 7 or 8 years?
It's 12.
12 years?
Correct.
Awesome.
And it has to be 12 uninterrupted.
Consecutive years.
Consecutive years. Uninterrupted in the sense that you never issued a notice, you never told the person get out.
Right.
Uninterrupted in the sense that, you know, they've come and set up shop there. That's when you qualify, if now I'm speaking on that other side, that's when you qualify to be a squatter. Until then, you're just an intruder on land. And
trespasser, yeah.
A trespasser. So at the point at which you're working between 0 and 12, you should deal with this person as you would with any other kind of trespasser. Yeah.
Dogs, guns, whips, everything.
Let me not be recorded as saying that, but
right,
I see your drift.
Right.
There are certain things that, of course, you must do to prevent the squatting. Things that people have generally done include fencing, include regular checks on their properties, just so that you intervene at the point at which people are coming onto your land.
Sure.
Yes. Because what happens with, we call it ownership of land by prescription, which is how a squatter becomes a landowner.
Okay.
Because if after the 12 years you've not done anything, ideally, assuming everything is going according to the law, ideally then this person is entitled to even get a title out of that property.
Right. A certain portion of that land has to be hived off and given to them as settlement.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So 12 years minimum uninterrupted, assuming you haven't given any notices or interacted with them and asked them to leave.
Yeah.
If they're there for that 12-month period, then you can't just kick them out. You have to compensate them as prescribed by the law.
And I think there is also reference to permission. By permission, I mean if you as the owner see someone come onto your land and you permit them to be there, say for instance by giving them an express letter saying, okay, I permit you to be here, then they do not qualify as squatters.
I see.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. So if I give the individual permission to be on my land for free even, and they're there for 12 years, 14 years, they do not qualify for squatter benefits.
No, because you can come back and say, okay, now my permission
Wow, that's an interesting solution. So just give them permission to be on your land, and you're good to go.
Yes.
That's interesting. I wasn't aware about that that aspect. So for those of you who are sitting on idle, unutilized pieces of land, because as a Kenyan you've bought plots here, there, everywhere, and will probably continue doing so, simple issues or interventions to put in place, and I've done a video on this before, is fencing. Assuming, of course, that you have clearly demarcated your boundaries, you had a surveyor come and ascertain that your property is within these boundaries by measurement, in some cases even by GPS coordinates, if it's under fixed survey regime, as opposed to general boundaries, which is reserved for freehold agricultural land. Assuming that's in place, you need to fence and do a proper fence. Don't do wooden poles, because those just get harvested for firewood in your absence. You need to be clever about it. Use concrete posts if you can. Have presence on your property. Have someone there with your permission. As Wakili has said, if they are there with your consent, they are not regarded as squatters and therefore cannot claim any benefit after the 12 years have lapsed, which is brilliant, because you have someone there looking out for your land. They're not worried about being treated as a trespasser, and that keeps other would-be trespassers and eventual squatters away. Another great way to kind of have presence on your property is to basic landscaping. Plant trees. Trees are great for the environment. I'm actually going to have Mr. Mura here look that up for us, what the Constitution says about usage of land and green cover. I know the 2010 Constitution envisaged a situation where a certain percentage of your land has compulsory green coverage. So that's a great way to have your property occupied in a beneficial way. It's good for the environment, it's good for you, it's great income at some point in the future, and it's also nice for your property. It gives that aesthetic appeal. So there you have it. If you have questions about this, you're struggling with squatters, feel free to comment, share your story. We're happy to get you in touch with Wakili, and right below you will see his contacts. Feel free to get in touch with him directly. You don't have to do so through us, even though we're happy to hear from you through our social media platforms. Even give us a call. Our number is 0700010001. Again, that's 0700010001. You're watching On Land in Kenya, Law of the Land segment. I'm Solomon Wangwe. Stay tuned for more great info on strategic and safe land investment.